At my 6-year-old's family visit, my mother-in-law left her alone in a parking lot for 5 hours while she took the other kids fun shopping. She told her, "Wait right here. Don't move." I didn't shout. I walked inside and did this. The whole family went silent. If you've ever had one of those moments where the world tilts and everything goes a little too quiet, that's what happened the day I pulled into my in-laws' parking lot and saw my daughter sitting on the curb by herself. Mia was 6, small, the kind of kid who still mispronounced spaghetti and needed help with zippers. She was perched on the edge of the concrete like a discarded doll, knees pulled to her chest, pink backpack next to her. No shade, no water, no adults. Just her. I parked faster than you're technically supposed to and got out. "Mia?" I called. Her head snapped up. She squinted against the sun, then broke into a shaky smile. "Mom!" She stood too quickly and stumbled. When I got close enough, I could see her cheeks were red, her hair sticking to her forehead. Her little sneakers were gray with dust. I dropped to my knees in front of her. "What are you doing out here alone?" "Grandma said to wait," she said. "Right here." "For how long?" She glanced at the sky like it might give her the answer. I don't know. Since the long hand was on the 12 and the short hand was on the 1. I looked at my phone. It was 6 o'clock. 5 hours. Something hot and ugly rose in my chest. "Have you been out here this whole time?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level and failing a little. She nodded. "I wanted to go inside, but Grandma said, 'Wait right here. Don't move. Your mom will come. We're going shopping.'" My brain processed that in pieces. Shopping. Other kids. I looked around the empty parking lot. No cars besides mine. "Did she lock you out?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "I tried the door," Mia said. "It was locked. So I just waited. I didn't want you to miss me." That sentence actually hurt. I pulled her into a hug. She was warm, too warm. Not sunstroke warm, thankfully, but we were not far off the line where urgent care becomes involved. "Did you have water?" I asked. "No." She shook her head. "But I wasn't supposed to move." Of course she wasn't. My kid takes instructions seriously, especially from adults she still thinks are safe. I took a breath through my nose and stood up. "Okay," I said. "We're going inside." I held her hand and walked to the front door. It was locked, but my in-laws are predictable, and the spare key was still under the world's most obvious fake rock. I let us in. The air conditioning hit us like a slap. Mia shivered. I squeezed her hand. Voices drifted from the kitchen. Laughter. The high, bright sound of other children. The clink of shopping bags. For a second, I froze. I hadn't seen their car in the driveway when I pulled in, which meant they must have come home through the back entrance. They'd walked straight into the house, past the kitchen, past the living room, without so much as checking whether Mia was still outside where they'd left her. They knew she was out there. They just didn't bother calling her in. That realization made my stomach twist. I followed the noise. There they were, my mother-in-law Diane, my father-in-law Ron, my husband's sister Valerie, and her 2 kids, Mason and Chloe. The counters were covered in shopping bags, clothes, toys, a new video game system. Mason was waving a plastic sword. Chloe had a bracelet on each wrist. Diane had a glass of iced tea. She looked very comfortable. I stepped into the doorway with Mia half behind me. The first person to notice us was Chloe. "Oh," she said. "She's back." Diane turned. "Well, there you are," she said. "We were wondering when you'd show up." "Were you?" I said. I kept my tone neutral. It came out slightly colder than neutral. Mia squeezed my hand. "We had so much fun," Valerie said, oblivious. "Took the kids to the mall, let them pick a toy, got ice cream, They were great. How nice, I said. Where was Mia for all that fun? Diane blinked. Outside. In the parking lot, I said. Yes, she said, like this was normal. I told her you'd be here any minute. No sense dragging her around stores when she's just going to whine and cling. She doesn't whine, I said. She's 6. She gets tired. You're too soft on her, Diane said, waving a hand. She needs to toughen up. I stared at her. She's been outside for 5 hours. Diane scoffed. It was not 5 hours. I held up my phone. I dropped her off at 1. It's 6. Ron shrugged. It's not like she was in danger. This is a safe neighborhood. By herself, I said. No bathroom, no water. She could have knocked, Valerie said. The door was locked, Mia whispered from behind me. They all looked at her as if they'd forgotten she had a mouth. I told you to wait right there, Diane said, frowning. If I say stay, you stay. It's not my fault your mother is late. I'm not late, I said. You told me to come around 6. Diane waved that away. Same thing. No, it wasn't. There is a special kind of rage that lives underneath a mother's skin. It's not loud. It's not wild. It's surgical. Precise. Cold. That's what woke up then. I'm taking Mia home, I said. Get her backpack. She hasn't had dinner, Diane said. You're overreacting. Mia's grip on my hand tightened. I could feel how much she wanted to disappear. We'll eat at home, I said. We're leaving. Diane put her glass down sharply. Absolutely not. We are having family dinner. We planned... You, I said quietly, left my 6-year-old alone in a parking lot for hours. She's fine, Ron said. Look at her. Nothing happened. There are adults who wouldn't leave their car unattended that long, I said. You left a child. Diane rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. Valerie added, You always are. I didn't shout. I've learned that shouting gives people something to grab onto. Look how emotional she is. See? She's irrational. They stop talking about what they did and start talking about how you reacted. So I didn't shout. I let go of Mia's hand long enough to pull out my phone. I opened the family group chat, snapped a picture of my daughter's scuffed shoes and flushed cheeks, and typed, Just picked Mia up from your parking lot. She's been outside alone since 1 p.m. We won't be doing unsupervised visits again. Send. Diane's phone pinged on the counter. So did Valerie's, Ron's. They looked down, then up. The room went very, very quiet. This isn't over, Diane said. For once, I said. You're right. I picked up Mia's backpack, took her hand, and walked out. Nobody tried to stop us. That was the moment something shifted. Not just in me. Once my husband found out, in him too. I didn't know all of it yet, but I knew one thing. I was done pretending this was just how family is. On paper, my husband Lucas came from a close family. That's how he used to phrase it when we were dating. Close. The kind of close that meant weekly dinners, constant group texts, and a mother who always had an opinion ready before anyone asked for one. I thought I knew what that meant. I didn't. By the time we had Mia, now 6, I knew what intense meant in practice. It meant every conversation with his parents started with his sister Valerie, circled around Valerie, and ended with Valerie's kids, Mason and Chloe, who apparently could do no wrong in that household. My daughter was sweet, nice, no trouble, which in Diane's vocabulary translated to keep quiet and don't ask for anything. Diane loved being the heroic grandmother, the one who took the kids so you two can have a break, the one who raised you right, and now I'm helping with the next generation. What this looked like in reality was that she watched Mason and Chloe constantly, did their school pickups, their sports drop-offs, their everything. Valerie paid her a small amount sometimes. Mostly she didn't. It was family. When Mia was born, Diane offered to help with her too. Help was a generous word for what it turned into. There was always a string. I watched her on Tuesday, so you can run an errand for me this weekend, right? I took her to the park, so you don't mind sending a little something extra for groceries? I bought her a coat, so I used your card. Hope that's okay. Little leaks in the dam. Lucas had grown up being told it was his job to help. He was the reliable one, the responsible son. So when his mom hinted about money, he transferred it. When his dad mentioned being behind on bills, he picked up more shifts and paid them. When Diane sighed about how hard it was to keep the house up while also caring for Mason and Chloe full-time, he quietly set up a monthly transfer. He showed me the first one. "Just for now," he said, "until they catch up." 7 years later, it was still going. Every month, a bigger chunk of our budget than I like to think about went to his parents' account. On top of that, there were the little emergencies. They always had one. New tires, dentist, electric bill. Valerie's unexpected expense that somehow landed in Lucas's lap. He never pushed back. Not really. When I tried to talk about it, he would tense up and say, "They need it. They helped us. It's just money." I stopped bringing it up as much. I didn't want to be the villain in a story where his parents were always the martyrs. But the thing about patterns is that they don't just stay emotional. Sooner or later, they get dangerous. With Mia, it started smaller. They'd keep her up too late because the cousins wanted to play. They'd forget to put sunscreen on her because she needs color. They let her stand at the edge of a pool while they talked, back turned, until she slipped on the wet tile and almost went in. Every time I said something, I was overprotective. Anxious. Helicopter. Nothing happened, Diane would say. She's fine. Nothing happened. Until the day they made sure something could. When Diane announced in the family chat that she was taking all the grandkids for a fun day, I didn't immediately panic. She'd done outings before. It was supposed to be simple. I'd drop Mia off at 1, pick her up around 6. "We'll just be home, maybe run an errand or 2, Diane had said. She did not mention the 5-hour curbside abandonment plan. If she had, I might have rearranged my schedule. But that's the thing, isn't it? People like Diane never say, "I plan to do something reckless," and then blame you if your child survives. They just do it, then call it parenting style. Driving home after I picked Mia up, listening to my daughter describe how she watched the shadows move across the parking lot, how hot the ground got under her shoes, how she counted cars to pass the time, I felt something else settle in my chest. I had been raised to believe you don't blow up families unless you absolutely have to. They convinced me for years that this didn't qualify. But looking at Mia's sunburned nose, her exhausted eyes, her trust in me not to leave her alone again, I realized something very simple. They had crossed a line I didn't even know I had until they were standing on the other side of it waving, and this time I wasn't going to be the one reaching back. The thing nobody tells you about big family explosions is that the real blast comes later. The driveway scene, the group chat, the doorway standoff. That was just the match. The real fire was what happened after we got home and the adrenaline wore off. Mia wouldn't let go of me that night. She followed me from room to room like a quiet little shadow. If I went to the kitchen, she stood in the doorway. If I went to the bathroom, she waited outside. If I sat on the couch, she climbed into my lap, even though she hadn't done that in months. "Are you okay, Bug?" I asked at bedtime. She nodded, which would have been more convincing if she hadn't been gripping my sleeve like it was a life raft. "Do you want your nightlight?" I tried. "Yes," she whispered. Then, after a pause, "Can you stay?" "I'll sit here for a while," I said, settling into the chair by her bed. She lay on her side, eyes open. "Mom?" "Yeah?" "You're not going to leave me here and go shopping, right?" It hit like a punch. "No," I said. "I will never leave you like that." She thought about it. "Even if Grandma says I have to wait?" "Even then." She nodded slowly. "I thought, if I moved, you wouldn't find me." I swallowed hard. "You did everything right," I said. "You stayed where you were told. None of this is your fault." She blinked, and I watched one tear slide sideways into her hair. I didn't stay for a while. I stayed until she finally drifted off, and even then I sat there longer, listening to her breathing, wondering how long it would take before she didn't flinch every time a car slowed outside the house. I found Lucas in the living room, sitting on the edge of the coffee table with his elbows on his knees, staring at nothing. "How is she?" he asked. "She keeps asking if I'm coming back," I said. "To the room, the house, anywhere." She tracked me from the couch to the sink like I was a balloon she was afraid would float away. He closed his eyes. "I told her Grandma said, 'Don't move,' and she heard, 'Don't exist unless your mother can find you,'" I added. "That's not what Mom—" "Maybe not," I said. "But that's what happened." He didn't argue. We sat in silence for a moment. "You know," I said, "if we let this slide, we're not just telling your parents it was fine. We're telling Mia it wasn't a big deal." He rubbed his face with both hands. "I know." "She stood in a driveway for 5 hours because she trusted that if she moved, she'd get in trouble," I said. "I'm not willing to teach her that the people who did that get another chance." He looked over at me. The Lucas I married was there, but there was something else now too. Something heavier, sharper. "I'm cutting them off," he said. I didn't say anything. I'd wanted this for a long time, but it had to be his line to draw. He stood, went to his desk, and opened his laptop. I watched as he logged into the bank account he'd grown up thinking was a moral obligation. $600 a month, he said, almost to himself. "That's what I've been sending them. For bills." He clicked. "Another $200 into the extra account Mom pulls from," he added. "For groceries with the grandkids." More clicks. "And then there's the emergency fund," he said. "The one that's mysteriously always empty." He opened another tab. The numbers popped up. Transfers to his parents every few weeks. $250, $300, $400. The amounts varied, but the pattern was the same. "How much is that?" I asked. He did a quick mental calculation. "Around $800 to $1,000 a month, on average." "And that's just what you know about," I said. He clicked again. "Not anymore," he said. One by one, he canceled the $600 recurring transfer, deleted the $200 extra, closed the emergency fund pipe. He removed their access to the card they'd borrowed and never returned. The confirmation messages popped up politely, as if he were unsubscribing from a newsletter. "That's it," he said, leaning back. "That's a lot of money," I said. He nodded. "We could have gone on vacation every year." "Instead," I said, "we bought them the privilege of endangering our kid." His mouth twisted. "Not anymore." "And contact?" I asked. He picked up his phone. "I'm not writing a speech," he said. "They don't listen to speeches." He opened the family thread and typed. "You left Mia alone outside for hours. There will be no more visits. Don't contact us again." He hit send, put the phone face down on the table. "That's it?" I asked. "That's it," he said. It took 6 minutes for his parents to notice. The phone buzzed with incoming messages. "What is this call me now? You're overreacting. We did nothing wrong." Answer the phone. He didn't. I didn't. We sat in a strange, fragile silence while Mia slept in the other room. Then a new text popped up from his mother. If you want us to stay out of your lives, you will keep sending the money. If you cut that off and start telling your little parking lot story, we will tell everyone what really happened. It's your word against ours. You can't prove anything. I stared at it. There it was. Not even subtle. Wow, I said. They're not even pretending this isn't about money. Lucas read the message twice. His jaw tightened. They think we're scared to make this official, he said. Are we? I asked. He looked at me. No, he said. We're not. The next morning, while Mia sat curled on the couch watching cartoons without really watching them, Lucas looked at me and said, We're reporting it. We didn't need to discuss it. We just drove. The police station smelled like old coffee. A woman at the front desk glanced up as we walked in. I need to file a child endangerment report, I said. Her expression sharpened. What happened? I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo. The curb, the empty driveway, the heat on Mia's face. She was outside for 5 hours, I said. Completely alone. My in-laws took the other kids shopping and left her with no way in. The woman's jaw tightened. This way. In a small interview room, Mia clung to me, so she sat on my lap. There was no way she would have stayed home alone after yesterday. The officer asked only what mattered. Was she supervised at any point? No. Did anyone check on her? No. Where were the caregivers? At the mall. Did she have a way to get inside? No, the doors were locked. The officer looked at the photo, then at Mia, then at us. This is serious, she said. She took the report quickly, timeline, photo, statements, and slid a case number across the table. Before we left, she crouched beside Mia. You did nothing wrong. You were very brave. Mia leaned into me without speaking. We walked out holding the case number, cold, official, undeniable. It didn't fix what happened, but it made sure no one could pretend it wasn't real. At home, I opened the extended family chat, the same one where Diane had called me dramatic 2 days earlier. I typed, For those who still aren't sure what happened, Mia was left outside alone from about 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at my in-laws' place. The door was locked. No water. No supervision. We have filed a report with local police, so there is a record of what happened. We will not be discussing it further. I attached the curb photo again and hit send. Lucas watched over my shoulder, then added his own message beneath mine. Any questions? Ask me directly. Do not go through my mother. Then we put our phones down. It took about 30 seconds. Cousin. Wow. I didn't realize it was 5 hours. Aunt. That's not old school parenting. That's dangerous. Another cousin. I thought this was being exaggerated. I don't anymore. Diane jumped in. How dare you send this to everyone? You are trying to destroy us. You went to the police? Over family? Ron followed. You're making us look like monsters. Someone else replied before we could. No one made you do that. You did that yourselves. I didn't recognize the name. Some second cousin who'd been quiet up to that point. Diane tried again. This is a lie. She was only outside at a little while Lucas responded. Mom, stop. We both know that's not true. She went quiet after that in the chat. She did not go quiet in real life. The doorbell rang that evening just as we were clearing the dinner dishes. Lucas and I looked at each other. We didn't have to say it. He opened the door just enough to block the entry. There they were again. Diane and Ron. No Valerie this time. Just the original disaster duo. You called the police on us, Diane said. No hello. Yes, Lucas said. Ron glared. Do you have any idea what you've done? Yes, Lucas repeated. You are trying to ruin our lives. Diane hissed. "We could lose everything." "You almost lost my daughter," he said. "I guess now we're even." "You ungrateful little—" she started. I stepped up beside him. "You asked us to keep paying you to stay away," I said. "Remember that part? Keep sending the money if you want no contact. You tried to sell us your silence." Diane's face went blotchy. "That was not—" "You literally wrote it," I said. "I have the text." Ron jabbed a finger toward Lucas. "We did everything for you. We raised you. We helped you. We watched your child. You left her alone on concrete for 5 hours," Lucas snapped. "You watched nothing." He took a breath, steadied himself. "You're not coming near her again," he said. "There will be no more visits, no more calls, no more money." "You can't do this," Diane said. "We'll tell everyone you made this up. You're turning them against us." "You're doing a great job of that on your own," I said. She swung her glare to me. You did this! You poisoned him!" I met her eyes. "I didn't poison him," I said. "I just stopped diluting the truth." Her mouth opened and closed. "You're going to regret reporting us," Ron said. "This will follow us everywhere." "Good," I said. "Maybe then you'll take it seriously." "We should call our lawyer," Diane muttered. "We'll get grandparents' rights. A judge will make you—" "If you try that," Lucas said quietly, "every word of what you did goes on record, with dates, times, pictures, and police reports." They stared at him like he'd grown a spine in front of them, and they hadn't received a memo. "You think no one will believe us?" he asked. "Try us." For a moment, no one moved. Then Ron tugged Diane's arm. "We're not getting anywhere," he muttered. She yanked it back, but the fight was gone from her eyes. For the first time, she looked less outraged and more scared. Not for Mia, for herself. "You're choosing her over us," she said one more time, like repetition might make it less true. Lucas didn't hesitate. "I'm choosing my daughter," he said. "And myself." He closed the door. We waited. No pounding, no shouting. Just the muffled sound of their voices retreating down the walk and the car doors closing. I hadn't realized how loud they'd been in my head until they were gone. Later that night, as I tucked Mia in, she asked, almost casually, "Is Grandma coming back?" "No," I said. "She's not allowed to take care of you anymore." Mia thought about that. "Because she left me?" "Yes," I said. "Because she left you?" She nodded, small but sure. "Good," she said. I didn't like waiting. I brushed her hair back from her face. "You won't have to again," I said. She believed me. I decided to make sure I earned that. So that's where we ended up. They lost their money, their access, their version of the story. We lost the illusion that family meant what they said it did. Mia still asks sometimes if I'll come back when I run to the store. I always tell her yes, and then I do. Every time. That's how you fix what other people break. Not with speeches, but with follow-through. Lucas is lighter now. He laughs more. He doesn't flinch when his phone buzzes, because those numbers are blocked. As for Diane and Ron, they tell anyone who will listen that we went too far. Maybe we did. So, what do you think? Did we go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.